Josh Arnold Investment Consultant brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1575, July 8, 2025. 101 degrees on this day on two occasions, 1936 and 1974. And boy, in 1958, they woke up to a chilly 51 degrees. Call Josh Arnold at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Got your little candy ready there?
I love the fact that Joe gets bothered by the fact that you bring in treats.
I have Skittles that are only red, left over from Easter. I just purchased some M&M peanut cookies downstairs, and I have one of Shelley's fantastic chocolate chip cookies from downstairs in the bakery.
What are you, a diabetic?
No,
He's
I'm just,
about to be.
Yeah, if sugar gets any higher, yeah.
You know who some of our most polite, cheerful listeners are? The people who win the Masters Maples.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, they're the most dedicated.
We
for
always
sure.
get a thank you. Joe, I wanted to thank you and the crew for choosing me as GLer of the Week, having received the products for Masters Maples and are enjoying them. My wife and I have been a fan of your radio and podcast since the beginning. She actually found you first and then told me about it. Always enjoy the show. Thanks again and take care, Darian. P.S. Most people do not say our last name correctly, but you got it right. Darian, I think I said Vitsky. It's Vietzke, Vitsky. I hope that's the way I said it.
Jerry and I was the one that picked your name, so congratulations.
You didn't have anything to do
You're
with
welcome.
picking his name.
Wait, what?
But we always get a nice thank you from the Maples
Speaking of
Masters
that,
people.
I was down
Masters Maple.
on Friday. I went down to Harmony to hang out with the guys at Harmony Spirits and see the car show, the 4th of July, all that stuff. And I ran into somebody that was a Masters Maples recipient. They could not possibly have been nicer.
They wash your car and do anything like that?
I got to tell you, Joe, getting out of the city and going down to Harmony, that's Americana, man.
Well,
It's really cool.
It's down there with the bluffs and the fields and the cricks. The cricks where you can catch brook trout.
I don't know what
a
a crick is.
It's so wonderful down there.
Kenny,
I know what a creek is.
Kenny's picturing it perfectly. It's just...
Well, I used to go.
I know what it looks like.
I used to go trout
been there.
fishing down there. It's wonderful.
You're going 40 and a 55 just to...
Oh yeah, even the farmers and their tractors are backed up behind me. Who's this idiot going 20?
I don't want to get back. I don't, please.
I think one of the most laughable examples of the government is not to be trusted, and they're all liars, no matter who's in the White House. They're all liars. It's this whole Epstein fiasco. This is ridiculous.
Who do you trust? What do you know?
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Pay no attention to the client
Nothing
list.
to see here.
That doesn't exist.
Pay no attention to the client list that 2 months ago I told you I had on my desk. These people are liars. Now, here, Justice Department review finds that that Jeffrey Epstein had no client list and, in fact, died by suicide, even though there are some extraordinary technical errors in the closed caption.
We don't know that.
The closed caption film that suddenly didn't see anything.
Did you see there's an AI video? And I don't know if this is proper to introduce, but why not? It's we captured the 1 minute video that was missing, and it's Hillary.
Hanging a towel or a rope.
It's obviously fake. It's AI, but it's very funny.
I'm glad you mentioned Hillary because I want to get to something in a moment.
Oh, boy.
But we now have that the Pam Bondi Justice Department is claiming that there's nothing to see here. There is no client list or evidence that he blackmailed prominent figures. The review also concludes that Epstein died by suicide while in custody in Manhattan. Okay. Now, first of all, do we care about Epstein? Is this important?
Yeah.
It is if there's important people like royalty or higher ups in this country that
Who are pedophiles?
correct.
Yeah. Okay. It's so comical that it's beyond insulting. And don't tell me that Trump didn't have anything to do with Bondi's decision. Bondi's one of the sycophants who puts the mint on Trump's pillow every night. She ain't going to make a move without Trump being aware of it. So suddenly, this all is supposed to go away. She was, well, here.
Aren't we more?
Here, let me give you a timeline.
I thought stuff like this went from the bottom up, and people would be advising the president, on all the important matters.
Now, this is from the top down.
No, aliens, JFK, all the important stuff, that it goes from the bottom up, and they advise the president not to talk.
This Peter Doocy from Fox, who apparently is a hard hitter, he likes to ask the tough questions, no matter if it's Trump in office or Biden in office.
Right.
Well, during a press briefing,
I have it.
Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to hear it.
You want to set it up?
Well, I'll set it up.
Okay.
Doocy was questioning the press secretary, Caroline Levitt. Caroline should be Foghorn for the way it's spelled.
Oh, I didn't know we were going
Karoline. That's not. That's
Family name,
Foghorn.
maybe? Family name?
Questioning press secretary Caroline Levitt about the DOJ's memo declaring that the alleged sex trafficker kept no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk, Doocy asked. Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network, Levitt began. I've got the quote, Doocy said. Doocy recounted that when Pam Bondi had been asked in February whether the DOJ was planning on releasing a list of Epstein's clients, she replied, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review."
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death. And they put out a memo in conclusion of that review. There was material they did not release because, frankly, it was incredibly graphic and it contained child pornography, which is not something that's appropriate for public consumption. But they committed to an exhaustive investigation. That's what they did, and they provided the results of that. That's transparency.
Follow up on that,
Sure.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was
What?
saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation
enough.
going on right now called Summer Heat.
Yeah, you put short order cooks and farmhands behind bars, but you're not going to put any billionaire behind bars. Right. So this is ridiculous. This whole thing is absolutely absurd.
Just tell us anything. We're really, really, really stupid, and we'll believe anything you, the
That's what they
great
think.
government,
What a
the
bunch
great
of
savior,
BS.
the great government. Whatever you tell us, we'll believe.
Obviously.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
Here's my take on this, right off the top of my head. Epstein was plucked. He knew somebody. Somebody knew him. It's a Len Dayton novel. He was a school teacher. And I'm now convinced he was funded by somebody. I don't know who the cabal of rich people are that pulled this off, but they said, you're a 2-bit school teacher, but your cover is going to be you're a very well-to-do hedge fund manager.
This is your book.
You're worth a fortune, and here's what you're going to do. We have an island. We're going to buy an island, and you're going to live there, and you're going to entertain there, and you're going to bring people there that we tell you to bring there, or who approach us and want to go there. We're going to arrange it, and you will fly them there, and you'll entertain them. And what they prefer is extremely young women. You're going to be in charge of that. And in exchange for that, if this challenges any moral equilibrium you have, in exchange for that, we're going to give you $500 million. And you can have an apartment in New York, and you can have this island, you can have a place in Florida, wherever. But this is what you're going to do. And he does it. And he does it with the expectation that he's going to hold everything in confidence. That's one of the rules the big people give him. I'll get to the big people in a moment.
Okay.
That's one of the rules the big people give him. You can't ever. You can invite people and you can have your picture taken and be in the New York Times Society pages, but you're never going to tell anyone who actually comes to this island. And you must never reveal that. The whole point of this is we're getting away with pedophilia, and we don't want to be caught. And so he signs on and says, "Okay, I'll keep my mouth shut." Well, in the meantime, he keeps a list of all the people,
Right.
and they get wind of that. He's caught. He's arrested,
Red-handed.
and because he has the list, now he's got to be eliminated completely. So they kill him in prison. But we're told that was suicide. I don't buy that for a heartbeat.
Well, that's just it. He killed himself before there was a lack of evidence to prosecute him.
Right. So
wait a minute, check this out.
Yeah. So
Well put. Rick.
yeah, they get rid of him. They get rid of him. And then Trump brags during the campaign, boy, in my administration, you'll get everything. You'll get the UFO reports, which we haven't gotten.
JFK.
You'll get JFK, which we haven't gotten. You'll get the Epstein thing, which we're not going to get. And so here comes
Other than that,
here comes Pam Bondi, who wouldn't issue a soft fart without Trump's permission.
Right.
And she's going to say, "I did this on my own. And we reviewed this."
That's
and
a popcorn fart.
Yeah, that's the
loyalty,
word
man.
I was trying to think of.
That's
And there's
loyalty.
nothing here. There's nothing here. And everybody in America is supposed to say, "Oh, okay."
shrug your shoulders. Yep.
Well, okay,
all right.
fine.
Anyway, what about those tariffs? Hey.
Why it's important? Why it's important is we should know if the world's so-called leaders and wealthiest people who have influence with the world's so-called leaders are in fact pedophiles. I'd like to know that.
It's the oldest trick in the espionage game, the honeypot scheme.
Yeah.
And the other one is, if in fact you are caught, we will disavow all knowledge of you. You're on your own. My question is, did they get him caught on purpose in order to get rid of him? Or was he caught without their knowledge?
Well, maybe he was caught to get rid of him in anticipation of another Trump presidency.
Oh, jeez.
Why aren't you writing all of this down? This could be your next
Because
novel.
I do a podcast to entertain the masses.
Well, so you're giving it away.
I'm giving it away. Well, it's not even hell. It's probably been done 15 times, just in
That's just it. Yeah.
in different ways. But here's the deal. Trump obviously is on the list, but
I got to protect you a little bit.
We don't know that.
Just going to protect you.
well, according to Elon Musk, he's on the list, and that's another guy who says
we
there's.
don't know
Well,
that.
that's another guy who says there's a list. Is Musk? Now, for all I know, he's been to the island. I have no idea. He might
Jesus.
I don't
Are
think
you trying to get us
I don't
fired?
think that's
I
his
said I have
style.
no idea. Don't interrupt. I'm fine.
sorry.
I'm on a roll.
I'm sorry.
Here's what I wanted to say.
I'm not going to let you badmouth this country.
Sit there and let you.
And you mentioned Hillary before. Hillary's not nearly powerful enough to have engineered any of this. Hillary's a two-bit player compared to who must really be behind this. So now that becomes the interesting question. Who are the people in the world powerful enough to pull this off? Who are the people powerful enough in the world to order the United States Justice Department to suddenly say, there's no list, he committed suicide, move on, there's nothing here? Well, Trump is pretty powerful because he's the president. Is there someone beyond Trump?
He has too many enemies to get away with this.
That's a good point.
But are his enemies the world's wealthiest people?
I think they are.
I don't think so.
I think they only see him as useful until he's no longer useful. I think he could simply be a puppet to these
But
people.
if there is no list,
well, stop. Who are these people? Is it this Klaus Horselaugh, whatever his name is, the head of the World Economic Forum?
It's people we've never heard of.
Who are these people? Because somebody's running this show.
What if, you brought up Putin a second ago. What if, say, somehow Putin got his hands on stuff from Jeffrey Epstein proving things?
Yeah.
Then
well, wait,
now it gets even more
we
deep.
don't know that.
I said, what if?
Come on, man. We've had a bunch of beers. We're in the back of the Knack Hardware Lounge. We're just sitting around the pot-bellied stove shooting the S.
These people bring about this talk. These people invent this talk. It's either that or you come on the air today and say, oh, look at that. There's nothing about the Epstein. Now, what about that fight that was in the park the other day in Roseville? We're supposed to forget it. They create this by their preposterous, comical lying. Yes, you in the back.
I just want to go on record saying I don't suspect anybody, and I am not suicidal.
Well, you're a puppet then. You're the dummies that they're talking to. You represent the dum-dums, Chris.
Exactly. Because I'm going to stay alive.
See, you got to separate the titillation from the reality. On the one hand, people wanted the list revealed because of its titillation factor. Hey, did Tom Cruise go to the island? I'm just arbitrarily coming up with names. I have no idea if did Bill Gates, did Tiger Woods.
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
Go on and on and on with all these famous names.
It's gossip.
And it's titillation. Yes. Yeah. But also, if, the leaders of the free world were frequent guests, well, I'd like to know if they're pedophiles.
There's been one person on the staff that's mysteriously silent when usually you can't shut him up.
Who, Rook or Reavers or Heidt?
Matthew?
I'm just eating M&Ms while you guys are talking.
Such as Skittles.
No,
Okay.
I think there is a list. I don't know who's in charge, but somebody, and it's pretty hard to keep secrets in this day and age because somebody's going to leak something.
It's not hard to keep secrets if you can eliminate the people who you think might say. It's not hard at all.
Okay, we got rid of Epstein, Giselle, or whatever her name is. She's still around.
Think of it this way, Matthew. If somebody offs Joe for saying Tom Cruise was on the island, I'm not going to say Tom Cruise was on the island.
Same with you.
It'll keep me silent.
Tom, I
didn't mean you. I'm just you were a celebrity that popped into my mind.
And Tom, I've seen Top Gun Maverick at least 753 times.
We know you're okay.
But I do think it's interesting. In February, Bondi's bragging about. So in February, she must have thought that they were actually going to release the list. So who got to her since February? Because she said, it's on my desk.
This is just another lesson for us, the Americans, to never, ever trust anything the government says to you, no matter who is in the Oval Office. Do not rely on these people. They're liars and scoundrels and thieves, and they want to control your life.
And if there is no list, then why is Maxwell in prison? Right? Because wasn't that what put her behind bars, was the supposed list?
Testimony put her behind bars.
That's true. Okay,
of
that's
victims
a good point.
And of,
Yep, that's a good point.
The video of Epstein in his jail cell no longer is in the backup system.
I wonder what happened to it.
Well, it was excised. It was,
Maybe it was who was the Nixon secretary? She had her foot on the pedal.
Yeah. Epstein was found semi-conscious in his prison cell with injuries to his neck on 25 July. What was that, 2020 maybe? After that incident, he was placed on suicide watch. Eventually, Epstein was moved to a different cell where he died on August 10. 2 prison guards have since been accused of failing to check on him during this time and falsifying records to say they had. There have been ongoing questions over the July recording, which was initially deemed missing and then was said to have been located by jail staff. A letter filed by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jason Swergold and Maureen Comey said the footage contained on the preserved video was for the correct date and time, but captured a different tier than the one where cell 1 was located.
Okay.
So there's some people who have really had to scramble to pull this off. Right. They've had to come up with so much gibberish because the average. Now, what does this do to Trump's loyalists, the fans who think Trump walks on water? He's lying to you right and left.
Do you think that matters? Seriously.
He's a liar.
If the list came out and he was on it, I don't think it would matter to a good portion of those people.
You two, how would that be any different if Biden had done the same thing?
It wouldn't be.
What did we learn under the Biden administration?
Well, that we were poorly governed for 4 years because the guy was half asleep.
Well, you're changing direction here, but so nothing is your answer.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. So I'm telling you, it's people below him warning him, we need to back out of this. And wasn't he on Epstein? Wasn't he on suicide watch?
Yes.
Doesn't that mean 100% visual observation?
I just read it to you. That means
100%.
Right,
you
but
never ever avert your eyes.
But the two, I just read it to you.
Yeah, I know.
The
but
two
I
guards
reiterate.
left. They guards left. Mysteriously left. Falsified records saying they hadn't left, and then had to admit they weren't there.
Don't give him sheets. Don't give him a rope, a broken chair,
this
a rafter.
Like a movie.
Nothing. Make him sleep on the hard, cold ground with no covers.
Need to give you guys a stop sign.
It's like Shawshank when the guards leave and somebody gets their ass kicked. Maybe not Shawshank, but
what do you got there, Joe?
Well,
what do you suppose? What do you suppose is on the list? Just names? Who's being protected here?
That's
countries, names, individuals,
names,
Prince,
leaders,
what's his name?
Positions.
Andrew.
Charles.
Prince Andrew. Bleep him. He's a nobody.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying he was there, pictured with the gal.
Well, and the testimony, Rook. I mean, he's already pretty much everybody knows he was part of it.
What about Hillary's husband?
Well, I'm sure he was. I bet he went to Pado Island as often as he could. He had one of those. He had a wristband. He didn't
had his own
ticket. He had
his own suite
flyer. Yeah.
He probably had a chip in his wrist, so he didn't have to show any ID. Just
boy, we are really longing for some moral and ethical integrity, aren't we?
Okay, but those people are making quite an assumption that we are, number one, really stupid. Number two, we're just going to let it go. This is so huge.
No, this is the ultimate example of the third rail. They don't really. This is the crumb they're giving us. Saps who pay the bills.
Pat on the head.
And you know what? The reckless speculation that we're doing and every other show in America is doing today only makes it worse for them. It'd be so much easier to just tell us the truth.
I don't think this speculation is reckless. I think it's terribly obvious. This is ridiculous. This lie is so comically bold that, look it, she said in February, I got the stuff on my desk.
Right. Why didn't somebody say, all right, let's see it?
Okay, Matthew.
Just go back to your go back to your M&M.
Back to the M&M. I'll be over here with my M&M.
Yeah.
What do you got there, Joe?
I got a new garage door if you want it.
Okay.
It's on your desk. Let me see it.
From Precision Door MN. Now, Precision Door takes care of your daily needs too with your regular garage door in case she goes kaput, right?
Yeah.
They take care of that. But if you need a new door, Precision Door, which serves western Wisconsin, the entire metro, they got a designer. They send the designer out. You got a little chit-chat.
Dimensions,
Pull up a chair. Let's look at this thing. Classic. And they have models for every budget. So there.
Classic case.
Why don't you shut up while I try to do this?
This one's red.
And what the hell? I'll get the door.
Goes up.
It's $100 off. There's a deal for GLers right now. $100 off a single door, $200 off a double door.
You're supposed to get that number to Royce, remember, after yesterday.
I did.
Okay.
He said he's calling them because he's got a flap hanging down. He can't describe what it is. He tries to fix it. He doesn't know what he's doing. Go to precisiondoormn.com. That's one word, precisiondoormn.com. Or call Precision Door for all your garage door needs. 612-263-6985.
Reavers here once again for my guy, Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Well, sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? Well, Mr. Money Talk is going to be able to sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute, no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser. Yeah, sure.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Boy, this thing is changing lives, especially if you live on a lake. A tweedertool.com. Remember that website. This is going to be it's going to turn your entire life around. Wondering if any of you new T-Weeder owners, were you able to con a few kiddos into pulling lake weeds with that new tool of yours? It's really easy. It's fun for the whole family. You just throw this thing out, tug it in, and all of those creepy lake weeds that always circle your feet will be on it, and you'll get rid of them. I received an email today from GLer Dan, who ordered his T-Weeder from tweedertool.com, showing a massive, huge pile of weeds that he pulled out in only 20 minutes.
Woo!
Yeah, the T-Weeder. Well, of course it was invented by a GLer, Tim. He had a lake weed problem. So what do you do when you have a problem? You head off to the garage and you don't come out till you figure it out. And that's what he did. And he had the very first T-Weeder. It's a rake-looking aluminum tool, offset teeth, and a stretch of rope. You throw this thing out as far as you can, let it sink, and then with a series of quick tugs, bring this thing back into shore, and it'll be covered with weeds. Next thing you know, everything's gone. We're talking weeds here with shallow roots. Pull them off, do it all over again until everything's awesome. It's legal with the DNR, and we've had a lot of emails actually from GLers testifying to its excellence. tweedertool.com. All materials made and manufactured in the USA, and it'll get rid of those weeds. tweedertool.com.
John, go back to the beginning. It shouldn't be hard to find. What incident triggered the arrest of Epstein?
It was a Miami Herald report, correct?
I just think we need to put that into perspective, because that obviously plays into the conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. It plays into the roadmap of what happened.
2019 arrest triggered by a sealed federal indictment containing new sex trafficking allegations. According to law enforcement sources, those allegations involve crimes committed between 2002 and 2005 in New York and Palm Beach, Florida. He was charged with one count of sex trafficking and one count of conspiracy to commit sex trafficking.
I wonder who blew the whistle. How was that discovered? I think a woman now no longer underage came forward.
Correct. And they came forward to I'm almost positive it was a Miami Herald reporter who then published the story, and that's when it took off.
Okay.
I think that's correct, yes.
Then from that moment till now, the judicial system has been really scrambling. On the one hand, they're attempting to express some responsibility to the judicial system, and on the other hand, they've been getting pressure from the people controlling this.
Right.
All right. Just to review, New York-born Epstein worked as a teacher before moving into finance, and suddenly is wealthy as hell. Those are my words.
He learned.
I'm reading from the BBC. Prior to the criminal cases against him, he was best known for his wealth and high-profile connections, and that was all he was known for. I defy you to find me any record of his extraordinary success in hedge fund investing.
Because it was almost like he was a reality star, a Kardashian type, where he just became famous for being famous.
He was the monkeys. He was created.
Yeah.
He was often seen socializing with the rich and powerful, including Trump, Clinton, Prince Andrew. He was accused of paying girls under the age of 18 to perform sex acts at his Manhattan and Florida mansions. He suddenly had mansions everywhere. Between 2002 and 2005, he was arrested on 6 July. He avoided similar charges in a controversial deal in 2008, pleading guilty to a lesser charge of soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. I contend that Epstein is the creation of a very powerful cabal of bad people, and one of whom might even be the president. I don't know.
I think he was being run. I think he was being run by a country, possibly ours. And I think that he was obviously became a threat, and they eliminated him. I mean, it's so obvious the way everything played out.
And he's probably saying he knows he's going to be killed. So he's probably telling these people, honest to God, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. And they're saying to him, but you had a list. Yeah, but I won't release it. I won't release it. Well, the FBI found it. Yeah. And so they can't kill the FBI.
Right.
They can kill Epstein. That takes care of him talking about it. Then they can get to Bondi and say, you're going to deny the existence of a list. And they're powerful enough to have done it. Because you just saw it yesterday.
They killed a president in the 60s. They killed his brother.
In the meantime, you just keep paying your taxes. These are the people who are just great people. And they're,
Anybody else you want to indict?
I don't know.
Haven't indicted anybody.
That's true. It was all allegedly.
You want to go down that conspiracy road? I got another one for you.
Oh, goody.
Bring it.
Who was John Hinckley?
He shot President Reagan after his infatuation with Jodie Foster.
Who was Sarah Jane Moore?
She was one of the Manson gals.
Who did she shoot?
No, she wasn't a Manson gal.
No.
She was an older woman. She shot at the same time Squeaky Fromm did, about 2 weeks later.
Thank you.
I said.
Thank you.
Who did she shoot?
She shot Ford, Gerald Ford.
Who was Mark David Chapman?
He shot Lennon.
He took
Who
care
was
of
Lee
Lennon.
Harvey Oswald?
Yeah, he was
Working for the CIA.
Team. He worked with the team.
Who was John Wilkes
he was
Booth?
a patsy.
He shot Lincoln.
Who's Thomas Crooks?
Ooh, that I don't
President Trump.
McKinley? McKinley?
No.
No, Trump.
Reaver's the only one who got it. How come we don't know any? How come the name of Crooks has not entered the lore of the country?
Everything about him was scrubbed from reality.
Is that the kid? Or
Yeah,
is
Thomas Matthew Crooks.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
In fact,
I wouldn't have got that in a million years.
the date it will be Sunday, will be 1 year, July 13th, 2024.
God, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm somewhat facetious. I don't intend to make a conspiracy of it, but it is interesting that this country has tended to make known and to keep in the lexicon the names of assassins or would-be assassins. Reagan didn't die. Ford didn't die. Trump didn't die. But you know Hinckley and Sarah Jane Moore. You don't know Thomas Crooks. I have nothing more to add except I wonder why.
It is interesting because the story essentially vanished, and his whereabouts or his presence essentially vanished.
And what's interesting is that the president doesn't bring it up, and he brings everything up.
I did follow down this rabbit hole about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
A couple places. The New York Times had a long story.
Yeah, there's
about
been
Thomas
pieces
Crooks.
done on him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which was very interesting. And then there were other stories, but yeah, you're right. It's not something in the forefront anymore.
Well, what did the Times find? Anything
The
interesting?
Times said basically that all of his friends said his personality seemed to constantly be changing the year before the assassination attempt, and that he changed so much just over that period. So who knows?
He was wacky.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Thomas Matthew Crooks. He won't be remembered in history. Hinckley is. Chapman is. Oswald is. Booth is.
Is that a sign of our attention spans, or is what are you attributing that to then?
I don't know.
Okay.
And it was a serious deal. A guy died. An innocent bystander at the event died.
Yeah. It was the fireman, right?
I can see it maybe. I can see it maybe escaping the grip of history if the only thing that happened that day was Trump getting grazed on the ear. I can see it because we'll never remember the name of the guy who supposedly wanted to take a pot shot at him in Florida outside the golf course. Nothing came of that. He didn't wound anybody. He was rounded up. Nothing came of that. I don't remember his name. But something came of this. A fellow lost his life to Crooks.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then Crooks was eliminated.
Crooks is no longer alive.
Correct.
Wasn't he shot that day?
That day he was shot, yeah.
The anniversary of the Battle of Gettysburg was over the 4th of July, leading up to the 4th. And it's interesting that Lincoln said in his speech, "For the people, by the people." And we couldn't be more far away from that line than we are right now. This government is not for the people, and it's not run by the people. Not
at all. And it doesn't make any difference who the administration is. This is the third rail is run amok.
Yep.
It's gone, and it's out of our hands. It's just it's an amazing, amazing development what's happened to this country. And again,
they used to agonize over what they were going to do for the people. Now we have people like in the Minneapolis City Council who say, "I don't care what you want. I'm cramming this one down your throat."
Right.
That's where we're at.
Oh, you can see it at state and local levels. And look at New Prague fighting about a new police station.
Right.
Have you followed that?
10
I
million.
drive by it.
And
yeah.
And the residents are saying, "Well, we don't want to pay for this. What the hell is this?"
Oh, bring it to St. Paul with the curb and gutter a few years ago that the residents didn't want. And how were they made to pay?
Well, they weren't. There is a neighborhood that won, but they were told you'll be last on the list if there's ever a water problem in your area.
Bingo.
What a bunch of BS.
Can I ask something? Because when I read the New Prague story this morning, I drive by this location multiple times a week. It's already under construction. So are they more upset?
So was the Metrodome when we were told we weren't going to have it.
Well, I guess that's my point. Are we upset because this was passed without the proper protocols?
Yeah, let me look at something real quickly here.
Okay.
Did it make the paper today? I guess not. Shoot. It was on the news, and I'm kind of I guess I'm not paying enough attention to it. But there was a turnout at the New Prague City Council last night, and the residents are saying, we don't want our taxes increased for this. Now, I'm a big cop supporter. I think what cops do is important, and we need them. I'm not a defunder. But I don't know the condition of the previous New Prague Police Department. Was it falling down?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I do not know.
I find it hard to believe.
It
But
shouldn't
maybe-
matter what we have to say about it. What matters is the citizens of New Prague.
Yeah, and what kills me is what happens to people sometimes in politics. Those people that serve New Prague, they're their friends and neighbors of people in New Prague.
And that's why we start in with conspiracy theories like, oh, well, maybe he knows the contractor. Maybe he knows the guy that supplies the concrete, et cetera, et cetera. You know, a lot of it is falsehoods, but that's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. I attach no conspiracy to New Prague. I'm just amazed that they need a $10 million police building. I guess I don't know the condition of the
If you want to come down, I can swing you by and we can maybe go grab a kolachki.
Is that out?
Hey, kolachkis.
It's out on 19, isn't it?
19 and 13.
That's out
Yeah.
there.
Right at the intersection.
Yeah, I
I
know
know a lot
where
of
it is.
polka fans down
Oh,
that
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
We go to
Actually,
the 1319 pub.
Is
have
that a
sandwich.
German town?
I think
No,
so.
Prague. It'd be a Czechoslovakia
Yeah,
town.
you're right. Czechoslovakia.
That's the new Prague. Mm-hmm. Just like in Germany, there's a town called Fulda. I got off at a train station in Fulda.
Did you take a
And
picture?
now Minnesota is
I did.
New Fulda. Is it New Fulda?
No, it's not called New Fulda. Just
What's the radio station down there, Chris?
K-Check.
K-Check.
Yep.
Wonderful radio station.
KCEK.
Serving
KCHK.
the New Prague
KCHK.
area. I love that about small town
And
radio stations.
the New Prague ballpark has the check deck where you can have yourself a cold one and watch a ball game.
The check deck. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For all of us. Yeah.
Did I tell you I got a new scooter
You did.
from EcoFun?
You did.
And like all businesses now, did you ever notice this? You go to a doctor or you go to a car dealer or you go to EcoFun or you always have to, you get a survey.
Yeah.
How did it go?
How do we do?
Well, I was happy to fill out the survey
Yeah.
for EcoFun.
How'd
Did
they
you
do?
mutter the whole time you filled it out?
No, it was 10 questions, and it was easy to fill out because I think they're great people, and I like the product, and I like the service, and I think you will too. EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake / Columbus. It's on Highway 97, immediately west of 35. It's the electric bike capital of the world. Scooters, motorcycles, side-by-sides, 4x4s, youth recreational equipment. You can get a little Jeep that 2 10-year-olds can fit in.
Cool.
And boom, 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 go around. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Got
kind of
the-
take off that governor there and let him go a little
yeah.
quicker.
It's just neat stuff. Neat water equipment, service, helmets, apparel. Also, EcoFun Motorsports in Burnsville on the service road of life near County Road 42. But I picked up a new Yamaha scooter. There's still a lot of pre-tariff stuff on the floor at EcoFun. It's just a really, really fun recreational toy stop. It's just, I know I call this a toy. It's not. It's serious. You got to be careful. But when you ride them the way I do, infrequently and for just carefully, they're just toys. They're great toys. And I couldn't be happier with it, so I filled out the survey. But boy, every business does that now, don't they?
Yeah.
You gotta take
Well, they
our
want to
survey.
know.
Yeah, but you know what?
GLers let us know how we're doing without a survey.
Yeah, we don't even have a
You guys
survey.
stunk yesterday.
Yeah.
Wait till you get the emails from the first segment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how anyone could do, but that's EcoFun.
Right.
EcoFunMotorsports.com.
This is Patrick Ricey for The Canopy Group. As you set out to explore Minnesota this summer, just know this. There are 234 cities in Minnesota with populations over 2,500. The Canopy Group has customers in all but 7 of those. Why is this fact important? Because the Canopy Group's experience in these Minnesota cities gives them a unique edge in providing you the comprehensive home and auto insurance options you want. Remember, the Canopy Group offers 16 insurance companies for a reason, to help match your specific situations, including your zip code, with an insurance company that meets your needs. This is done for you every year because your specific situation may change. It is also true that the insurance company's appetites that you're with now might change as well. The experience working throughout Minnesota provides thousands of Canopy Group customers with peace of mind, knowing that the Canopy Group is working for you. To learn more, visit thecanopygroup.com today.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
If you're on Facebook, make it fun. Follow KBid. You'll get updates and links that take you to kbid.com. Let's do it together. Go to kbid.com. Now, that's the letter K-bid. The homepage, very helpful. And it's going to show you how to buy and sell. Right away, you're going to see, I don't know what they call this. I call it a moving picture show. Is it a banner ad? Anyway, that's going to show a list of auctions ending soon. And the search function up on top, that's where you're going to find, bid, and buy on a bazillion different cool items. Today's auction on the main page, I was going through it. Well, I go through it every day, to be honest with you. There's a car auction in Randall, vintage memorabilia, a Blaine pole barn estate, a whole lot of goodies there. A moving sale with lawn tractors and farm tractors. You can find a whole lot at K-Bid. It's free to register. It's free to bid and buy. And the whole thing is just a lot of fun. Log on, check it out, and the next thing you know, you're going to be a full-blown K-Bid fanatic and find yourself checking on it every day. It is. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. You'll find stuff that you need and stuff you didn't know you need. But if you do it right now, you'll find goodies on kbid.com, where the next great deal is just a bid away.
Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. The father of Manny Collins arrested on Monday in connection with the 16-year-old's death, according to Anoka County officials. 38-year-old Jordan Dupree Collins Sr. was booked into the Anoka County Jail on suspicion of second-degree murder in connection with the death of his son, Manny. So far, no charges have been filed. Manny's remains were found in the Elk River landfill on June 28th. His mom, Ashley Berry, said the last time she spoke with her son was during the 4 a.m. phone call on May 8th. Anoka County Sheriff Brad Wise previously said authorities think Manny was taken against his will.
Boy, there's a lot of stuff I just don't understand.
Yeah. State Senator John Hoffman out of intensive care and moving to transitional care, according to family members. Hoffman was shot 9 times on June 14th when the suspected shooter, 57-year-old Vance Belter, knocked on the door of his home and falsely identified himself as a police officer. The Hoffman family says Belter came to the door about 2 in the morning and began shouting and pounding on the door, all the while identifying himself as a police officer. When the door opened, John attempted to lunge at the gun, was hit by gunfire. When he fell, his wife, Yvette, tried to push Belter and shut the door, at which point she was also hit by gunfire. The Hoffman's daughter, Hope, shut and locked the door and called 911. Hope was not physically injured in the shooting. Yvette, who was shot 8 times, was released from the hospital last month. Belter is accused of going on to shoot and kill House Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark.
There's a married couple, who were shot a combined 17 times.
Yeah.
And they're alive. And I'm making inroads trying to have Mr. Hoffman as a guest. I would love to talk to him.
All right.
Meanwhile, Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher says he's sent 2 letters addressing concerns related to security at the Minnesota State Capitol and the safety of lawmakers after those shootings. In a July 1st letter to Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan and the Capitol Security Committee, Sheriff Fletcher recommended metal detectors at 4 different checkpoints at the Capitol. In a July 7th letter to the head of Capitol Security for the State Patrol, Fletcher said that he wanted better communication sent to law enforcement when something like that happens so they can respond more quickly to the homes of state lawmakers. In a statement, Commissioner of Public Safety Bob Jacobson said the letter does not accurately represent the manner in which law enforcement responded to the tragic events on June 14th. Notifications were sent to the proper parties early that morning. We'll be discussing that, he said, in greater detail with the sheriff and others as the investigation continues. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan and members of the Capitol Security Committee declined interview requests, but in previous public statements said they were committed to working together to ensure the safety of lawmakers and the public at the Capitol in the future.
Did Hoffman get to go home, or did he go to an intermediate site?
He's going to an intermediate site, transitional care. Right. From the Star Tribune, Governor Walz yesterday gave his strongest signal that he intends to seek a 3rd consecutive term next year, confidently predicting he will win if he runs again. In a wide-ranging interview with the Minnesota Star Tribune, Walz said he thinks Republicans will face a poor midterm election outlook next year because of the unpopularity of President Trump and his signature tax and spending bill that was approved by Congress last week. Walz said, quote, "It won't be me against a theoretical Republican. It'll be one of theirs who will bend the knee to Donald Trump. And it'll be this bill taking the economy and Donald Trump having done more stuff. If we run again, we will win.
So nothing about his incompetence and his
Trump
failure to hold
didn't
anybody
mention that,
responsible. Or okay,
he didn't mention that. One prominent Republican, Kendall Qualls, has entered the 2026 race for governor so far. Qualls, an Army veteran and former healthcare executive, campaigned for governor in 2022, narrowly losing the GOP endorsement to Scott Jensen. Walls could face some resistance if he runs again, especially from voters outside the core metro. More voters recently polled by the Minnesota Star Tribune said they'd rather see him step aside than seek a third term, and at least 6 in 10 registered voters outside of Hennepin and Ramsey County said they disapprove of the governor's performance in office, including in the suburbs.
Worst governor in the country.
Asked when he'll formally announce his re-election plans, the governor said, "I think you can probably start to figure it out." He said he'll decide soon, but is giving it a little more thought, he said, after the shooting of Representative Hortman. Walls said he expects to face some of the most difficult governing decisions yet over the next 18 months because of cuts in Congress made to federal entitlements, including Medicaid and nutrition. He said it'd be difficult for him to say he's, quote, not going to do the job after that. And a 74-year-old man died at the hospital after being hit by a car in a Walmart parking lot yesterday in Faribault. Officers were called to the crash around 9:48 in the morning. Investigators think the man was pinned against the wall by a vehicle that was backing up. The 74-year-old victim was initially conscious and semi-alert, but his condition, according to authorities, quickly deteriorated and he died from injuries at the hospital. The crash is still under investigation, but authorities say they've ruled out impairment as a possible factor.
How do you run into the bill? I've been to that Walmart many times.
Apparently somebody backed into it somehow, and he was standing there. That's the what the report said. Why don't we take a break and hear from Mr. Reavers?
Thanks, John. With a death from my hometown as the lead into my ad. Hofferman Water and Connecticut. I'm just giving you crap, Johnny. Hofferman Water and Connecticut. Joe, I am going to slow down. I'm going to slow down and take time to tell the people about the fine folks at Hofferman Water and Connecticut.
Well, you're not slowing down. You're still speaking rapid fire.
Hurry up.
HoffermanWater.com is the website. If you go on that website, you can see every single water treatment system that they have to offer. And you can book your appointment, by the way, when you go to HoffermanWater.com. But you can also just give them a call directly and book that appointment because you want to have them come out and give you that free water analysis by calling 612-895-2440 or HoffermanWater.com. When you go on that website, it doesn't matter if you're in the mood for a water softener, maybe an iron, rust, and odor filtration system, or a brand new drinking water system. A brand new system from Connecticut can do so many things that other water softeners just simply cannot do. It's going to cut down on your salt usage, but it's also going to protect your appliances. And I'm case in point. I did this a number of years ago, and it saved all of my appliances inside of my home because my water was so terrible.
Did it stink?
It wasn't bad smelling. It was just very, very hard. So it corroded all of the lines in the dishwasher and the fridge.
Yuck.
It was really bad. HoffermanWater.com or 612-895-2440. They have been proudly serving the state of Minnesota for over 50 years. Do me a favor and mention that you heard about them on the Garage Logic podcast.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
If you have cylinders, you need Seafoam. Case in point. So my mom calls my pontoon the SS Bummer. GLers call it. Yeah, well, she has good reason.
Okay.
GLers call it the cirrhosis of the river. My nephew call it D's nuts. Whatever it is, I finally dug it out of the shed last week, covered with dust, looking skanky. Tried to run it on last year's gas. What in the world was I thinking? Gas that was actually untreated by Seafoam. I put it away wet and didn't think twice about it. So obviously I poisoned the carb. It wouldn't run. I hooked up a fresh tank and put a heavy dose of Seafoam Marine Pro in that tank and let her run, let it idle. And finally she came back around and I was able to use it for the entire week. I could putt. I could go full throttle. No more issues. Ensuring a festive and fun 4th thanks to Seafoam. That Marine Pro Pro. It works in fuel systems. It cleans and lubricates all the critical engine areas, stabilizes fuel. I should have used it last year. And it's safe for all 2-stroke and 4-stroke motors. Add Marine Pro to every tank of fuel to make sure that marine engine starts faster, runs smoother, and lasts longer. Seafoam Marine Pro, a wonderful product in a world of crappy old Evinrudes and bad gas.
Thank you, Kenny. In national and international news, rescuers are set to continue scouring debris from those floods in central Texas today. Even as hopes for finding more survivors fade, the death toll has now climbed to at least 105 people. Meanwhile, the National Weather Service forecast less rain in south central Texas for today. That offers some relief to rescue efforts. After the downpours early Friday that led to the flooding, scattered storms and showers have for days kept the region on edge for fear of more flooding. Also, another problem, private drones have been interfering with already challenging search efforts after the floods. A helicopter yesterday involved in search efforts in Keyser County was forced to make an emergency landing after crashing into a private drone in restricted airspace, according to county officials. County officials call it an entirely preventable incident.
Are those just snoopers, Johnny?
I guess, yeah.
I've never been to the Texas Hill Country. I have no idea what it's like.
Where is that Texas Hill Country?
In the middle of the state. Middle north.
Okay.
A story we talked about a bit already. The Department of Justice has concluded Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, and perhaps more surprisingly, that he did not keep a client list.
Of course he didn't. He didn't have one.
All of this in a memo from the DOJ yesterday. That conclusion is in line with numerous prior evaluations after Epstein was found dead in his prison cell. The conclusion comes after President Trump has tapped leaders for the FBI, including its deputy director, Dan Bongino, who have promoted conspiracy theories about his death. It also comes, as you mentioned, Joe, after Attorney General Pam Bondi said she had an Epstein client list on her desk. She said that back in February.
You know what, John? She was just thinking of something else. She made a mistake.
The story resurfaced when Elon Musk said without evidence during his fallout with President Trump last month that the Epstein files had not been released because Trump was featured in them. The president has dismissed that claim, saying he had nothing to do with it. The DOJ news from yesterday immediately was criticized by, well, pretty much everyone, right-wing influencers and members of the Democratic Party. U.S. is set to impose a 25% blanket tariff on all imports from Japan and South Korea effective August 1st. That comes from an announcement from President Trump yesterday. He also disclosed new rates for 12 other countries, including Malaysia, Kazakhstan, South Africa, Bangladesh, Laos, and Myanmar. The upcoming measure were communicated through formal letters to the country's leaders, which Trump shared on social media. He also signed an executive order delaying so-called reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries from tomorrow until August 1st. Those had initially been postponed from April to July to give countries more time to negotiate agreements. The U.S. so far has not reached the 90 agreements that Trump had said they would. We reached deals so far with UK and Vietnam and a preliminary framework with China.
How can you forget to say Kazakhstan?
I know. That's the first thing I thought of when I screwed it up.
Your war of terror.
Heavily armed ICE agents stormed a popular park in downtown Los Angeles yesterday as Mayor Karen Bass blasted the Trump administration's what she called military operation. Immigration agents were seen roaming through MacArthur Park. Just wanted to see if you guys wanted to sing.
There's probably a song by that name.
Well, you think?
I think so.
I'll bet Jim Webb wrote one.
I bet he did.
Driving through the streets on armored tanks while some were patrolling on horseback. The Democratic mayor slammed the show of force as a political stunt. Many community members followed the armored vehicle and filmed with their cell phones. The ICE and National Guard contingent eventually just left the area, some without ever leaving their vehicles and not making any arrests.
The tank seemed like overkill to me right there at MacArthur Park.
A little too much?
A little too much.
Okay.
Do you really need a tank? I mean, what are you going to do?
It puts out a bold statement.
It does.
Yeah.
U.S. measles cases are at their highest level since 1992, before the disease was considered eliminated in 2000. The annual measles tally is 1,277 confirmed cases. At least 155 people have been hospitalized and 3 people have died, 2 children in Texas, 1 adult in New Mexico. Measles vaccines are estimated to have saved about 94 million lives over the past 50 years. However, vaccination rates have dropped since the COVID-19 pandemic amid skepticism over safety of vaccines. Separately, yesterday, 6 medical organizations sued the Department of Health and Human Services and Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over the decision to remove the COVID-19 vaccine from the list of recommended immunizations for healthy children and pregnant women. Here's a use of AI that we probably don't want to happen. The State Department is warning U.S. diplomats of attempts to impersonate Secretary of State Marco Rubio and possibly other officials using technology driven by artificial intelligence, according to 2 senior officials. This warning came after the department discovered an imposter posing as Rubio had tried to reach out to 3 foreign ministers, a U.S. senator, and a governor.
Well, how would the AI make you look like Rubio?
Well, it would make you sound like him on phone because he's making phone calls.
Got it.
Oh, I see.
The receipts of the scam messages, which were sent by voicemail, also by signal, and by text, were not identified in the cable. The State Department is aware of the incident, it said. The department takes seriously its responsibility to safeguard that information.
Well, hell, Frank Caliendo could do that without AI.
But the problem is now anybody can do this at their computer for free. That's the problem.
An Australian woman convicted yesterday of murdering 3 relatives and tried to murder a 4th using one of the world's deadliest mushrooms. Erin Patterson, a mom of 2 who faces a potential life sentence, hosted her estranged husband's parents, aunt, and uncle for a home-cooked meal in July of 2023. She serves beef Wellington laced with death cap mushrooms.
This was in Australia?
Yep.
Yeah, everything there will kill you.
The mushrooms contain amatoxins that cause organ failure and account for 90% of mushroom poisoning deaths in the world. Her in-laws and husband's aunt died within a week. The uncle survived and testified as one of over 50 witnesses. Prosecutors didn't specify a motive during the 9-week trial, but suggested familial tensions. Evidence included Patterson's search history and death cap mushroom residue in a food dehydrator that she initially denied owning. Testifying in her own defense, Patterson insisted the deaths were an accident. Jurors were sequestered during deliberations last week because there was so much outside influence as the trial garnered widespread public attention.
You would think it might have been a tip to the rest of them that she wasn't eating them.
Right. Go ahead, eat some more.
I'm some more.
I just ate.
Have another meatball, Dizzy.
A story that we talked about off air, a lot actually. For the first time in almost 20 years, travelers may no longer be required to take off their shoes.
Boy, I'm not taking mine off.
I can't tell you how frustrating it is to watch people take their shoes off.
I can imagine.
And to put them back on.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
You need a seat. I need a seat to do it.
Right.
They don't run the fat guy shoes like I have. They don't have laces. You don't have to bend over. You just cram your feet in and go.
Or with Velcro. Yeah.
No Velcro. That requires bending over, Matthew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Transportation Security Administration abandoning the additional security step that has for years bedeviled anyone passing through U.S. airports. If implemented, it would put an end to the security screening mandate put in place almost 20 years ago, several years after shoe bomber Richard Reed's failed attempt to take down a flight from Paris to Miami in late 2001. The travel newsletter Gate Access. You get that one, Rook?
The Gate Access?
Gate Access, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the first to report that the security screening change is coming.
Very thrilling.
ABC News reported.
Great centerfold.
On an internal memo sent to TSA officers last week. Do you send them a letter now and then? Just
remember the shoe bomber?
Yeah.
That moron couldn't even light the match, could he?
No.
Yeah. He was a bad
bomber, wasn't he?
Everything. He slowed down airport efficiency for decades.
I hope he's still in prison somewhere.
I used to know a guy that pre 9/11 would smuggle all sorts of fun stuff in his shoes.
Oh, boy.
When he was flying around the country, so he didn't have to find a local guy, if you know what I'm saying.
I think I do.
Do you know this guy really well? Or?
You know.
Well enough.
I've lost touch with that guy, John.
I understand. The IRS said yesterday churches and other houses of worship can endorse political candidates to their congregations, carving out an exemption in a decades-old ban on political activity by tax-exempt nonprofits. The agency made that statement in a court filing intended to settle a lawsuit filed by 2 Texas churches and an association of Christian broadcasters. The plaintiffs that sued the Internal Revenue Service had previously asked a federal court in Texas to create an even broader exemption to rule that all nonprofits, religious and secular, were free to endorse candidates to their members. That would have erased a bedrock idea of American nonprofit law that tax-exempt groups cannot be used as tools of any campaign. Instead, the IRS agreed to a narrower carve-out, one that experts in nonprofit law said might sharply increase politicking in churches, even though it mainly seemed to formalize what already seemed to be the agency's unspoken policy.
Reed pleaded guilty in U.S. federal court to 8 federal criminal counts of terrorism based on his attempt to destroy. We know that. He was sentenced to 3 life terms plus 110 years in prison without parole and transferred to ADX Florence, a supermax in Colorado.
Good.
How do you serve time after you're dead?
You had it on.
He's 51.
Okay. Good.
And in Florida, a 31-year-old man from Holly Hill, Florida, tried to steal nearly $1,500 in merchandise from a department store in Palm Coast before fleeing. How did he flee? He hopped on the back of a UPS truck and just sat there. There's actually video of him just sitting on the bottom back bumper as the UPS truck moves on to its next delivery. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office said deputies responded to a Lowe's after Michael DeVersa had allegedly tried to steal merchandise worth over $1,000 and left before authorities got there. Deputies received a call from a concerned citizen who saw DeVersa riding on the back of the UPS truck on Palm Coast Highway. DeVersa eventually got off near Lupia Court when the driver stopped the truck and told him he had to get off. Authorities said they tracked DeVersa's movements, later arrested him before transporting him to the Flagler County Jail. He faces a grand theft charge and is being held on $15,000 bond.
John, thank you for that. That's just fantastic.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
You know, it's a funny thing. When the kids are out doing all sorts of activities, they like to come home, have a nice, crisp, clear drink of water.
No, that's the wrong
And when
ad.
they do, you told me that's what I want to do.
No, for
Hofferman water.
For Reavers.
Oh, that's for Reavers.
Oh, you leave my ad alone.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me switch gears here and go to Escape With Us Vacations. When you do want to take those little kids and reward them on a sweet vacation, Escape With Us Vacations does family vacations, family reunions, destination weddings. They do so much for so many people, and I know that several people on this staff here have used Escape With Us Vacations and are very pleased.
For weddings?
For destination weddings, for family reunions in Mexico, or where do you want to go to Europe?
Options.
You got
They are
options.
so good at
They can take you
options.
to Europe. They can take you to the Caribbean. They can take you to Mexico. But the key is proper planning and the know-how. With a travel agent, that's cheap insurance to make sure everything goes smooth. Yes, you can book on Expedia all on your own, but when they cancel that flight or it gets delayed, Expedia is not going to be readily available. That's why you use a travel agent, and that's why my sisters with decades of experience are at Escape With Us Vacations, online at escapewithusvacations.com. The 2004 Croatia trip was second to none. You wait and see what they got in store for you next year with Croatia. Call them and ask them some questions. 651-788-4338. An experience where you're going to build memories that you will never forget. Or online at escapewithusvacations.com. You plan it, they execute it. They won't let you down. They never have let me down. Escapewithusvacations.com.
I have some helpful information for the staff and for GLers and council members regarding our big party this Saturday at Cedar Lake Speedway. First of all, everybody's wondering, where's the car show going to be at?
Yeah.
And it's really simple to find. Go in the main gates, drive in the main gates of Cedar Lake Speedway. When you get in, hang a left and follow the road and just stay on the road, and you're going to come out at a paved parking area where the British car show is going to be. So where all the cars in the show will stay clean and high and dry, and we're going to bring a pop-up tent to set up by Joe's car so everybody can find Joe. At that pop-up tent, council members will be given a food, a meal ticket, basically, so you can go get a meal for free. And everybody, the car show runs from noon until 6 o'clock. Gates open at Cedar Lake Speedway at 5. The racing, the hot laps starts at 6 p.m. So get there before the main gates open at 5 o'clock. If you want to park in the tailgate area where I will be, I'll have my truck there and we'll have a pop-up tent there and chairs. And we're going to party up in the tailgate area. If you want to also park there, you have to be in line in your vehicle before the gates open at 5. Matthew, question.
Quick question. I have one concern. I heard there is a potential demolition derby, and my worry is that when I pull up with the 2008 Jetta, they're going to point me to the right and say the demolition derby is this way.
Matt, your car is so bad it would not even qualify for a demolition derby.
So I don't have to worry.
They would turn you away.
I'm looking at an overhead map, a view.
Yeah.
It looks like a battle plan for attacking the nuclear sites in Iran.
It's just a real simple map that Brad has drawn up to be helpful for all of us. So there's, if you're not in the council, don't worry. You're welcome everywhere. You can go to the car show, hang out there, talk to Joe. I mean, if he'll talk to you, that's always the question. And then if you want to hang out and watch the races, by the way, that's like a $25 savings per person. You can hang out with me up in the tailgate area. There's going to be a couple of classes of races that night that are paying $2,500 to win, which is pretty good for a local race. And I really want, even if you're not interested in hanging out and watching the race, just stick around at least for the hot laps so you can see what you're missing. Hot laps are just a fancy word for practice. And Joe, I know you want to get out of there because no matter where you go, the first thing you do is start planning your exit.
Yep.
I would love it if you could just see the sprint cars turning a lap in anger. They do not lift. They put their foot down. They keep it there until the checkered flag, and whatever happens, happens.
Good
and it'll take your breath away. It's amazing.
Sounds very interesting.
And if you've never been before, bring yourself a set of earplugs. The track has them for sale, and I'll probably bring mine. I've got a bucket full of earplugs so I can hand them out. If you're going to hang out in the tailgate area, bring a lawn chair. But there's bleachers on both the front and the back stretch. Plenty of places to sit. And not one bad seat in the facility. It's really an amazing facility. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me. Chris, what is my email?
kolson@garagelogic.com.
Yeah, that's it. Then you don't have to go through the show or Chris. Just send it right to kolson@garagelogic.com. 2 websites. GarageLogic.com and, of course, CedarLakeSpeedway.com. And we're really looking forward to hanging out. No show, nothing official, just a big party and a celebration of cylinders.
I'm taking back roads the whole way, and when I get to the river, I'm going to fetch me a raft and bring her across on a raft.
That's not a bad idea. The Apple River, and I'm speaking of a party, of course, intertubing the Apple River. Get to the Apple River at 9 a.m., float down that thing.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
good weather.
Come over to the party.
Show up at Cedar Lake, 0.9.
And yeah, they do sell wobble pops there. And you know what, Joe? Speaking of wobble pops, our guy Lem, who does the lettering for Derek, is going to be there.
Cool.
He's coming down from Hibbing.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to finally meeting Lem.
Anybody want a new definition of irony?
Sure.
Well,
What if we had
tourism.
said no, by the way?
Huh?
What if we had all said no?
I would have done it
We're
anyway.
going to give it to us.
Residents in Mexico City are protesting against tourism. Hundreds of people are taking to the streets. Protesters marched in neighborhoods that are popular with tourists, as well as near the U.S. Embassy and inside metro stations in a stand against gentrification. What began as a peaceful march then took a turn when a small group of people in masks began smashing storefronts, looting, and harassing foreigners. Popular areas such as Condesa and Roma were affected. And one of the signs says, "Gringos, stop stealing our home. Pay taxes, learn Spanish, and respect my culture."
Well, aren't they doing that by supporting the business that's putting them up?
Wait a minute. If we say that in this country, we're considered terribly insensitive. Protesters are demanding legislation to regulate tourism. I guess there's been some cheaper rent prices in Mexico during the coronavirus, so people started moving there.
Well, isn't that what the former governor told us when he appeared on the show?
What governor?
Jesse. Isn't that exactly what he said?
Yeah.
The number of there are a lot of foreigners, namely Americans, coming to live here. In fact, there's 1.6 million Americans apparently in Mexico City, and the Mexicans are saying, "Pay taxes, learn Spanish, respect my culture." But we don't have that here.
Well, you do that here, you're going to get put in prison.
You do that here, and Karen Bass might try to arrest you.
Because I believe it was prescription drug prices as well. But I can see that happening with these people moving there.
I have I won't do the formal opening right now. I have a This Day in History from yesterday, which Big John, who's always at our our appearances, Big John sent me this last night, but it was for This Day in History yesterday.
Was he listening to the podcast? Think he could sneak it in?
It really. Oh, wait a minute! It is for today.
Oh. Wait a minute. Johnny, we got you.
It is
Hi, Big John. How are you?
I did not know this. 100 years ago today.
On this day, July 8th.
July 8th, 1925. The Lake Harriet Pavilion was destroyed by a windstorm. At the time, said to be a cyclone. Emma Miller and her daughter May were killed by falling debris. Kurt Brown apparently had an article on this on June 30 of 2024. A 13-year-old Girl Scout was there and took charge of the care of victims. That girl was Marjorie Gray, John's mom.
Wow.
John Vogel's mom. Emma Miller was her aunt, and little May were her cousin. So the two dead people were related to John's mother. And his mother from that day, because of that day, was referred to as the angel of the disaster.
Wow.
I bet this made a big... John, look that up. Look up July 9th, 1925 in your great newspaper resource for the Minneapolis paper. Sorry to send this so late, but the 7th, yesterday, the 7th was his wedding anniversary. Wait a minute.
Check it out.
So was the destruction of the pavilion on July 8th or July 7th? I don't know. John's going to tell us. Because that would have been on the front page. Front page of the paper. No.
Is this critical?
Well, maybe John's lying, and we could put to rest the...
He made it up just to get the anniversary shout out?
Right.
John, you're being treated like you're one of the staff, so don't take this personally. He doesn't believe any of us.
Okay, here we go. On July 9th, front page, where sunset storm left ruin and death on Harriet shores.
There it is.
Lake Harriet was a litter of wreckage today, meaning, I'm assuming, the 8th.
Yeah.
Not only the neighborhood, but the water itself. Floating in it were canoes torn from their racks. split or broken. The big painted balls, which had topped the wooden pillars of the pavilion, now floated and bobbed like huge water polo balls among the riderless boats. The bandstand roof, uprooted trees and limbs, straw hats and other articles of clothing lying around.
Wow.
I'm looking
Because you
to
think
see.
only bad storms happen at Heidt, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to see if that doesn't mention. Boy, the whole front page is that story. Pretty
Well,
much.
anyway, I believe John. His mom was a 13-year-old kid, and she was a scout, and she jumped into action. So, congratulations.
Okay, my favorite headline again, because we always have odd headlines and stories.
Yeah.
From Morris, Minnesota, headline: Huge hailstone knocks Hancock man senseless.
On account of, I'll tell you why.
Well, he was
exactly.
from Hancock. How could they tell the difference?
Wow.
Oh, sorry, Hancock. Just having a
And
little fun.
and in addition to that Lake Harriet note, only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in
Way over there.
Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, from the Traveling Lymans. It was on this day,
July 8th.
in 1775, Alexander Henry the Elder, one of the first Englishmen to visit present-day Minnesota, traveled up the Pigeon River to Partridge Portage.
Ooh, it's tough to say.
Tongue twister.
On this day,
On July 8th.
1887, and I want to thank you. Look at me. I want to thank you
Why?
for your withholding that ridiculous British accent you keep doing.
And how did you arrive today at the steamboat?
On this day,
July 8th.
It doesn't have as much punch.
in 1887, a police officer was shot while trying to break up a riot at a saloon keeper's picnic in St. Paul.
Oofta.
That'd be a good name for a band, the Saloon Keeper's Picnic.
Wait a minute. Were you complimenting me
Yes.
on an item when there was a rival of some sort?
No,
Because
I
I was eating M&Ms and I wasn't paying attention.
Alexander Henry the Elder, one of the first Englishmen to visit Minnesota, traveled up the Pigeon River to the Partridge Portage.
And how did you arrive up the
Yeah,
pigeon?
see, I knew you would do that. Now, they don't tell us if this cop was dead or he was just shot trying to break up the riot at a saloon keeper's picnic.
Mostly just shot.
Saloon keeper.
Yeah, the saloon.
Saloon.
He was thrown out.
On this day,
On July 8th.
in 1889, the federal government and the Red Lake Ojibwe signed a treaty that ceded 2,905,000 surplus acres from the reservation rather than distributing the remaining reservation land to individual tribe members as allotments. This treaty allowed the Red Lake Ojibwe to hold the land in common, thereby protecting it from piecemeal sale. On this day,
July 8th.
on this day, I'll think back. On this day would be what? 86 years ago. On this day. Right? 9 and 6 is 50.
Wait.
86, that's correct.
That's right.
yes. That's right.
1939. So there's people listening who remember this. You remember? I mean, do you want to hear it? I mean, yes. Hello?
There they are.
What?
On this day, July 8th, 1939, Duluth streetcars operated for one final day before being replaced by trolley buses.
Was that an improvement?
I don't know. How could you get streetcars up and down those hills, I wonder? That would have been.
Ropes and
Well,
pulleys.
they're in San Francisco. There's a lot
Well,
of
that's
hills in
true.
San Francisco.
That's true.
Joe, if I may go back to John's mother,
Yes.
the front page of the paper that day in the lower left-hand corner.
Yep.
Marjorie Gray wins the praise of elders she
you are.
directed in Rescue. Little Mother of the Storm is the name attached to young Marjorie Gray, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. S.G. Gray, 4705 Garfield Avenue South, who worked with no seeming thought of herself, working heroically and rescuing women and children from the wreckage, etc., etc., etc. She actually, get this, she was 8, right? Is that what? Well, I don't know.
According to John, she was 13.
13. She turned back when she heard the cries of children. In one instance, the youngster stripped off her stockings and used them as a tourniquet to stop
Wow.
the flow of blood from a
A
jagged
trained
cut.
scout.
Yeah, sustained by one little girl.
Now, what was she referred to that day?
She was called the Little Mother of the Storm.
Well, see, John's upped her title. He calls her the Angel of the Disaster. He's up the ante.
Well, maybe it's kind of like Flashlight King, Fireworks Commissioner.
Right. Everybody has their nickname.
And I have one item for this day in Minnesota sports disappointment.
July 8th.
July 8th, on this day in 2012, Twins Rangers lightning strike.
Oh, I remember that.
I do too, actually.
I don't remember this.
Was that here or in Texas?
No, remember, it was in Arlington.
I think I remember it.
And
to
it
tell you
was
the
so
truth.
powerful. I forget, John, was it Ryan Domit, the catcher? He just said, nope.
Well, everybody.
He sprinted to the
out.
dugout.
I do remember that.
He's like Minderwald or whoever.
I'm
Yeah.
going to pull it up on YouTube because
You
it's
can
actually...
you can see that on YouTube. Everybody just runs off the field.
Well, and the
immediately.
noise was incredible, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's why I'm trying to find it. 'cause
Was
I
this
gotta
in their
play it.
old ballpark?
Yeah, at the old Arlington Park. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can find it, you should play. The sound was amazing.
Have you ever been very close to a lightning strike?
Not really.
It's something that you will never, ever forget. It is so loud.
Oh, okay. This is not a good version of it, but hang tight with me. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. And... I'll play it again.
I
Hold on.
remember that. Oh, my word.
Wow.
And
Did they resume the game?
I think they eventually did, but the entire stadium is packed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 1 million people at this game.
That was quite a racket back in the day there, 2012. Thank you, GLers.
We got her.
Please do us a favor if you have not done so already and hit that subscribe button. Actually, smash that subscribe button on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. All you have to do is search Garage Logic and you'll find our channel where you can watch the show each and every single day. You can also see full segments. There's video shorts. There's all sorts of stuff for you to consume on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And
Jesus,
follow us
help me.
along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, X, and Instagram. And sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day. And it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. You can find out more and sign up online right now at the website, which is, of course, garagelogic.com. Yeah.
Hurt my head.
Time once again to check in with our guy, Mr. Money Talk. Josh Arnold is with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And now is the time for you to do the same. So do not delay. Do exactly what I did and pick up that phone and dial 952-925-5608. That number once again is 952-925-5608. When you call that number, you're going to get Josh. And he is there for you for that free, yes, I use the word free, 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And he will always give you the straight talk. He will never give you the sugar-coated advice. And he is on the line with us once again right here in Garage Logic. And boy, Josh, a lot has happened since we last discussed, but we don't need to take our shoes off at the airport anymore. Travel stocks are on the move, and we did pass the big, beautiful bill.
We'll get to the big, beautiful bill in a minute, but the news that I saw that selected airports to start, maybe it'll be in Minneapolis, or maybe it'll just start in Omaha. I don't know, but the TSA said we're testing so that you don't have to take your shoes off going through the lines at the airport. First, it was if you're of a certain age, you don't have to take your shoes off. Now it includes just about everybody. I think taking the shoes off at the airport has slowed the lines up, and now TSA says we want to make travel a lot better. We want your travel experience a lot better. You don't have to take your shoes off. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. If only people would learn that they can take all their stuff off, put it in the suitcase before they put their stuff on the conveyor belt. That would save some time, too, particularly as you're standing in those long lines. Now, of course, you could get Clear, you could get TSA, you could get Clear Plus, or Clear Plus TSA to go through the lines a little bit faster. Those things may not be available in all airports. I do travel a bunch, and I have to say that I found Clear and Clear Plus probably the best experiences in getting through the gates. And travel stocks have done exceedingly well this year, which could be a little bit of a surprise given concerns about a slowing economy, concerns about layoffs and unemployment rising a little bit, and concerns about weather or weather delays, not to mention problems in airports such as Newark, where you could be delayed going in and or coming out. That said, take a look at some of the travel-related companies as they continue to do well, whether it is the hotels such as Heidt and Hilton and Marriott. Those three have a variety of brands underneath them. Or taking a look at Expedia or Bookings.com, formerly known as Priceline. And I will say, when it comes to Priceline, if only I had been as patient with Priceline through the years as I had been or have been with Amazon and Apple. And I just have to give a big Priceline, which became Bookings.com, has been a huge winner from when I first started investing in it when they first came public. But I got out way too soon, and had missed a very significant run in that stock, which I do believe will still be a good investment. One travel stock that I would be a little cautious on, but has been, for me, a good trading stock, has been Airbnb. A lot of issues around Airbnb, as its business is primarily in the United States, and there are many cities that have been putting in place regulations to limit the number of short-term rentals, which fits into Airbnb's bailiwick. Since we're probably at the start of the heavy-duty summer travel season, travel stocks may be beneficiaries of that. I will say now, moving on to the big, beautiful bill, to me, the best part of the big, beautiful bill is the tax part and the continuation, we'll say an extension of the 2017 Tax Act, which keeps capital gains taxes at 20%. That, to me, is a big deal, frees up capital that can be invested in new ventures, keeps business taxes low, which is a big boost for all businesses, increases the standard deduction, which makes it easier for a lot of people to pay taxes, and cuts tax rates across the board, whether it be for upper earners or lower earners. Now, there are some changes that have been made to, quote unquote, help balance, reduce the deficit, but we'll get into some of the spending parts of the bill at another time. But to me, the tax bill extension is very, very big, and it's good for individuals, small businesses, and large businesses, and could well be a nice boost to the economy going forward. On the other hand, Tariff Man is back. The chaos that is created with these tariffs and tariff letters, not necessarily good for the market. So overall, the market seems to be ignoring that at this juncture. Now, that could be because we are starting earnings season later this week with many of the banks reporting. I am not a bank investor, as I've stated before, but it will be interesting to see what Delta has to say when they report on Thursday morning. Meantime, pick up your running shoes and get ready to travel.
Excellent advice, as always, Mr. Money Talk. You heard him, GLers. Now is the time for you to pick up the phone and make the call for that free 48-minute financial consultation with absolutely zero obligation. And you do that just like I did by dialing 952-925-5608, where you always get straight talk and never, ever sugar-coated advice. Josh, once again, thank you so much for the time and the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Chris.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.